We've got the live stream, and my name is Moshe, and I'm coming to you from Israel in the Galilee on the 26th of February, which is a Thursday, and it's about what time? Let's see. In Israel, it's 8:12 in the morning, so it's morning here. We'll take a look at the weather. It's cold and nasty and terrible, and the dogs can't stand it, and makes our life hard because of the mud outside. And 57 degrees, high of 64. It's going to be off and on sunny, but we could have some more nasty weather. I don't know what that sign means. Let's read it. Hold on. A wind warning. Yeah, believe me, that's not going to be very high winds. What they call high winds is normal winds in much of America. So it's going to just be intermittent cloudy and rain a little bit in the morning. It's a lousy day. Let's just take that to the bank. Tomorrow, sunny all day, but you see it's going to go down to 45 degrees at night, so the house will be keeping cold. It's terrible. 60 degrees is the high. Then we go sunny on Saturday, 61 at the high. Sunday again, all sunny, but we're looking at a low on Saturday of 42, Sunday 43. What is this weather? I don't understand. And then Monday, 44 with a high of 64, and it's still sunny. And then Tuesday, we go to 65, but 45 at night. Then Wednesday, we go to 64, then we go to 65, and then we go to 64. And then finally, a week from Saturday, they're telling us we're going to hit 70 degrees with rain. God forbid we get any more rain. I hope we get no more rain. Gosh, please pray we don't get any more rain in the area. We got plenty of rain. It just keeps getting everything cold and wet and damp, and it's miserable. Why is it miserable? Because these geniuses build 95 or probably 99% of the houses in Israel have no insulation. And I've never seen a house with wall-to-wall carpeting in Israel. So today we're going to go through the what's going on with the war, and there's way, way, way many more signs. And then I'm going to illuminate you to the sheer stupidity and likely or possible treachery of Netanyahu in the deal with India. I'm going to lay it out for you. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you this is a living, breathing piece of garbage with a heart like Satan's. Just a terrible, miserable creation of a slob, And that's who the people here vote for. They bring a curse on themselves with this guy. Unbelievable. So we're going to go through that, what Trump is saying, what the actions are, preparing for the war, and so forth. And we'll discuss who, what, where, when, why, how with the war. Now, there's not going to be anything resembling. The only deal you're going to get with Iran and Trump is some make-believe deal where Iran says, oh, we'll reduce our, the power of our uranium, and we'll send some of our already created uranium to Russia, and, we'll not make a bomb for 7 years, they said. And by the way, you got to release all the sanctions. It's not going to happen. Rubio said that if they don't do something, in the negotiations with the ballistic missiles, they're going to have a very unfortunate, well, I don't know his exact words, they're going to have a bad day, he said, or something like that, or a bad time. I don't know. He's not exactly going through it with them. Let's continue. So let me run into the live stream make sure we got a live stream. I'm going to be illustrating to you today how bad Trump really is to Israel. All you people run around there, oh, he gives them weapons, he gives them. Well, let me explain to you what he really does. Okay? You'll get that today. Uh, yeah, bad things will happen. I think that's the words Rubio used. Thank you. All right, I'm going to put a post up that's going to be very easily and quick to do. So while people are coming in, we'll get that up. It's not going to be any considerable time. Okay. And we have people coming in. All right. And the war is, I would say, very close. Every time I say that, then I see Trump is bringing more and more equipment into the Middle East. You know, now he's even staging planes in Israel. He's got it was supposed to be 12, but one had fueling problem. So he's got 11 F-22s here in Israel and 6 more coming. That is a tremendous arsenal of F-22s. That's one of the most coveted planes that America has, that they worry about the most, because they don't make them anymore. They cost a fortune to make. I think they were making them around the year 2000, and they're just the best stealth jet out there. And nobody has them but America. They're the best, but they don't sell those. Okay. Now, Israel modifies the F-35s after we get them, so they're better than the other F-35s, but I don't know if they're as good as the F-22. I doubt it. All right, being a Bible-believing site, now we line prophecy up with current events. We don't just talk about the current events. Okay, that's the difference here. Okay, so I'm going to do some praise. And if you want to join in, you can. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 In Israel, I believe I was only inside a house with central heat once. And the way that house was done is the pipes were put in under the floor, and they heat water up, and the water flows through the pipes and creates heat, and heat rises, so it comes up from the floor. And that was about 35, 40 years ago. I uh, don't recall anyone else having central heat. A lot of people use their air conditioners. They run those as a heater, and I do that occasionally, rarely. I have these electric coil heaters that I use. You got to stay rather close to them, but they do keep you warm. We have thermostat electric radiator. One, I think we got one. We used to have two. I don't know if the other one broke. I think so. I don't know what happened to it. And it works on a thermostat, and it creates a certain amount of heat in the room, but not enough. So if I wanted to make that work, I think mine has 4 or 5 sections. I'd have to get one with 7 sections, and even then, I don't know how well it would work. Probably need one with 9 or 10 sections or something. I don't know. All right. So more F-22s coming in. Trump says he would rather see Israel attack Iran first. This is a living, breathing piece of trash, just like Netanyahu. And that's why they're friends. That's why they're friends. Netanyahu never did get to go to Epstein Island, as far as I know, or they would have exposed it rapidly, you know. It is what it is, right? But he wants us to attack Iran first, right? Do you know the last time we had 17% bleed through on the missiles? Or maybe it's off 1 or 2 points, but we took a lot of damage. The private people filed $53 billion in claims for damage. Israel reimburses if you get your property damaged from the war. Israel is basically a socialist state, and we do things like that. Okay. Like we have relatively inexpensive health insurance when you're old and retired, like me. And if I go to the hospital, I don't have a deductible. I get on most medicines, almost all the ones I've ever known about that I ever got was a 15% copay. If we go to family practice doctors, we don't pay any deductible. If you go to a specialist, you pay about $11 every 3 months to the specialist. That's the most they could extract from you. So if you see the guy in January, the guy can't charge you the $11 again until April. So if you're going to go all year to the specialist, he can bang you for $44 a year. That's it. But how good is the healthcare? Well, not so great. It's not that. It's probably like America, really. or the UK or any of these other countries. I think it's probably very similar. I doubt it's very different. You know. Going back in time about 30, 40 years, there used to be what was called premium health insurance in America. Like big insurance companies would sell it. And it was more expensive, but health insurance wasn't that much money back then. Maybe it was, $250 a month or something like that for one of those primo policies. And you could get all kinds of work done. Not just surgery, stuff that's not surgery too. And they had companies that were private paying, like Hewlett Packard used to pay privately. So they would get insured, and Hewlett Packard would just pay their bills out of pocket, and they didn't have any insurance company. The insurance company was Hewlett Packard. Just about any job you got back in the 70s, the 80s came with health insurance. Pretty not great, like you'd have a deductible of probably $200, $100 for going to the doctor a year, which wasn't that bad. Doctor visits were sometimes $30, $35. They weren't that high, So if the visits were $35 and somebody went to the doctor 5 times, they spent $175. The insurance didn't kick in yet. Most of the plans that we used to see back then didn't cover pharmaceuticals. And what I used to do is carry my own insurance, which was Kaiser, which was a huge HMO in California, considered very good. They had their own facilities. It was an HMO with their own facilities. So you went to a Kaiser hospital if you wanted to see a doctor, you had a cold, you went into the hospital and they would route you to see one of the guys at, family practice or something like that. The doctors weren't always so friendly, but sometimes they were. They were okay. And you wouldn't have a copay that I remember. No, it was tiny. You had a tiny copay, I think. Like $4 or $5 when you saw the doctor. Something like that. It was very low. Or it was nothing. I don't remember. And it used to cost $9 a month around 1979, 80. $9 a month for full coverage, hospitalization, everything. So I used to keep it in case the company as I was working for didn't pay their insurance bill. I had insurance. So the price of insurance now is nuts, People that go on Social Security, they get Medicare, and then they have to buy what's called supplemental insurance if they want good insurance. And they pay hundreds of dollars a month. In some parts of the U.S., they'll pay $1,000 a month around New York. Other parts, like rural South, they might pay $250 a month. Which is unusual that they allow that to go on, but I guess the health insurance is much higher. Somebody I know had some kind of infection in the hand from a cuticle, and it blew up and it turned really ugly, and had to go to the doctor, and they had to, they x-rayed it, they this and that, they tested it, they lanced it, cleaned it up and all of that, and the bill for that doctor thing that were in the hospital for a few hours was $11,000. Insurance will cover most of it, but what they've done is they bilk the insurance companies big time. And the insurance companies turn around and bilk the consumers that buy the insurance for high premiums. So the whole system is garbage. In Trump's first term, he said he would get rid of Obamacare. Here we are in the second term, and he's never done it. Everybody says, Trump's so great. Yeah. They were auditing Fort Knox, him and Elon Musk. I don't have any reason to believe they never did it. Did he ever tell anybody what the results were? Not publicly. He put all these tariffs on the people all these months, wrecking the American economy. The Supreme Court told him they were illegal, and he has to return the money. Do you know how bad the economy is now? It was bad when he had all this tariff money. Now it's bad, and he doesn't have any of the tariff money. It has to be returned. You're dealing with a living, breathing moron. That's a coward, too. He's afraid of war. And people like him. I see the same thing with Netanyahu. He's horrible, and people like him. I mean, was Biden horrible? Yes. Was Obama horrible? Yes. Yes. But that doesn't make Trump good. It just goes to show you that no matter who you pick, you're going to get a bum. You're going to get a Satan bot, because that's the way Satan plays the game. You can vote for the Satan bot of your choice. Welcome to democracy. Satan wins no matter who you vote for. Great, huh? Okay, so the additional F-22s is a definite war sign. The United States doesn't like to move those outside the United States. And now they have. And maybe they'd put them in a secure country like Germany or the UK, but I've never seen them put them in Israel before, ever. I never saw this, where they take fighter jets and park them in Israel Air Force bases to get ready to attack Iran. It's a first. I never saw this. I never heard of it, nor did I ever see it, so I don't think it ever happened. Ever, ever, ever. Okay. We do have a prayer request, and that's important, especially for the people that put in the prayer request. If you want to put a prayer request in, you can put it up in the chat, or for more privacy, email it to me. using the two initials of the person you want the prayer or the tossing request for. And my email address is israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. Israel Giving, one word with the digit 7 at the end at gmail.com. Okay. First prayer request, and I think the only one, is for NK, Normandy Kilo, NK, Normandy Kilo. Okay. Prayer request is that NK can keep their job. There's an employee trying to get rid of NK to get this person fired. The employee is of a lower rank than NK, trying to get him fired. And so we want the prayer request to be that NK keeps the job, doesn't have any problems from this person trying to get him fired. Okay. Now, the person trying to get him fired, we're going to use, I just have one initial, L for Lima, L for Lima. So we'll do a little spiritual warfare on this person, okay? I can do it and you can agree with me. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, my Heavenly Father Jehovah, I bind any unclean spirit from being inside this person, L, and they must depart from this person immediately, never to return again. And no unclean spirit can go into this person, nor appear to him, nor guide him, lead him, direct him, help him, assist him, communicate with him, using people or unclean spirits directly for 10 years, continuously, beginning now. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with this. Okay. That seems to be the only one I have right now, but I do check the chat, and you can email me requests for more privacy. Okay. Trump advisor said that Trump prefers Israel attack Iran before the U.S. strikes. What is up with that? He wants Israel to get pelted with missiles? I don't know whether any other explanation. And that would be Satan's desire. And don't tell me that Trump is a believer. Come on. Marco Rubio warns of big problems if Tehran keeps refusing to negotiate missiles, while Vance says the U.S. has seen evidence Iran is trying to rebuild its nuclear weapons program. Okay, this is a prelude to war. This is how they do it in America. Okay. They start laying the justification path, okay? All right. This is what it looks like just before it starts. A senior Hezbollah official there in Lebanon, the terrorists, if the U.S. carries out a limited strike in Iran, they will not intervene. Any attack on Khamenei is a red line. If the U.S. attacks Iran with the aim of toppling the regime, we will intervene in the war. Well, I don't know what they got left to intervene with, the way Israel's been hitting them for probably 5 months. The Lebanese army has opened up 25-ish, something like 25 observation points in Lebanon so they could observe Israel if we enter into Lebanon to shut Hezbollah down. See, they're never going to shut Hezbollah down. All their deadlines have been expired. They have no intention of ever doing it, okay? The UAE established a $10 billion investment fund to invest in Israel. That is rather unusual, to be honest with you. We've got to look at what that investment is to understand where the subterfuge is here, which I'm sure there is. I haven't picked up the There's a new billboard in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, that threatens to make Israel hell, calls it Trump's 51st state. That's almost the truth. U.S. said to begin moving another 6 F-22s. So they want America, after they brought all this equipment over there, to go drop, 20 or 30 bombs or something on Iranian nuclear sites, and then go home. And Iran will laugh at them. Okay. The F-22 is the most stealthy jet America has, plus it has other advantages. 18 of those is quite a few. 17 in reality. But I think there's even some more floating around. There could be 23. Actually, it could be that high. The B-52 is not stealth at all. It's more sitting duck. The F-16s and the F-15s at best can attain partial stealthiness only. And the F-35s can't carry enough of a payload. If Trump's going to use B-2s or B-1s, he might just fly them in, have them strike, and then turn around and go home. He may not feel comfortable even having them land anywhere in the Middle East. So Vance and the Iranians are rebuilding their nuclear facilities, which is what America destroyed back in June, but they never really destroyed it. But what we do know is going on is Iran is refortifying them, putting more dirt, concrete, or whatever on it to protect it from the attacks of America. So it doesn't sound like they're very interested in going into a non-nuke mode. Um, this is very interesting. These are some of the things that people are going to say, oh, Trump's really supporting Israel. Trump is extending U.S. Embassy passport services to people in the West Bank that are Americans, which could mean they're Arabs or Israelis. Um, uh, and he's sending, I guess, they're sending workers from the embassy in Jerusalem to, or the consulate in Tel Aviv to the West Bank, and they're setting up shop probably a few hours a day, 1 or 2 days a week, for people that live there to come in and go through the scrutiny and then attain what they want. Which is probably give me a passport or mine expired or something like that. It's not getting visas because that's not that they got to go to probably Tel Aviv or Jerusalem for. So he's going against the grain because the governments in the world don't want this. They maintain this isn't Israel's land. Israel shouldn't be doing anything like this, and it's wrong. It's a war crime or whatever. So Trump is going against the grain. Remember, he moved the embassy into Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, from Tel Aviv. Although they still have the building, Tel Aviv, it's a great piece of land right on the water. So, yeah, I mean, it does show that Trump is supporting Israel in this endeavor. And, great. Okay. But what's the price we pay for that? Havana, Cuba. The government said on Wednesday, that today is Thursday, that the 10 passengers on a boat that opened fire on the Cuba soldiers were armed Cubans, Cubanos, I guess, living in the U.S. who So what Havana is saying is these people were coming to Cuba on a boat, I believe an American boat, from Florida, and Florida registration, and it was a speedboat. They came into Cuban waters. They were armed. They opened fire on the soldiers. Probably the soldiers were trying to interdict them, and they injured a Cuban officer. Um, the Cuba government said that the majority of the 10 persons on the boat have a known history of criminal and violent activity. Well, I don't, we could guess at what was going on, but I don't know. Was this American military doing it? I doubt it. I don't know what it was. It could have been gang rivalry. I don't know. Maybe these guys saw the military coming at them and they spooked and fired at them and then took off. I don't know. Panama City, Panama. The Panamanian government seized 2 ports at the entrance of the Panama Canal on Monday, so it's a few days old. According to a Hong Kong-based company that has opened them for decades, a move So the Chinese people there had a contract with Panama from years ago to handle container loading at the port. So they would take containers off the ship with big crane things and set them down on the ground and then put them on trucks that would haul them away, things like that. And America didn't like it because if the Chinese decided to say, they want to stop a lot of activity in the Panama Canal, they just stop offloading and onloading the trucks with with what the container is holding. They just stop it. Basically, it shuts the port. And America didn't want that kind of a vulnerability in terms of moving warships through the port. So they put a lot of pressure on Panama. They put troops in Panama. And they want this contract broken, and Panama broke it. And China's got to pull out. And they threatened Panama with all sorts of economic and other punishment for this. And China had not much choice in it, and they went to the United States. They went on that side of things. Probably China will just go home and lick their wounds, but we'll have to see. The 2 ports could likely be one on either end of the Panama Canal. So, it's 2-way traffic. So that's what probably happened. And that's one of many reasons why China wants to get rid of America. Trump said he's going to confront threats to America on the part of the Iranians. I don't know what he's talking about. What's he going to confront it with, Again, this is a war drum. That war's coming. It's at the doors. That's what it looks like. The every ship in the U.S. Fifth Fleet that's been parked at Bahrain, a big Navy base in the Middle East, and Bahrain's on the Persian Gulf, has moved into the sea. So they don't want Iran hitting the ships in Bahrain. Bahrain's a close shot for Iran. Just cross the Persian Gulf and they hit it. So maybe the most would be a little bit over 100 miles, maybe a lot less. The missiles could definitely rain down on Bahrain, so America moved the ships out of there. Now, they're also evacuated the soldiers out of Bahrain and and Qatar and their families. They're doing evacuations. So they're planning on Iran hitting these other countries, the American bases in these countries. Which is what Iran said it would do. Now, again, I'll go back and tell you that they may not attack Israel unless Israel attacks them. And that might be why Trump wants to see Israel open up on Iran. Why? Because if they attack Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, or Jordan, not a whole lot of anything's going to happen to them. These countries have some jets, F-16s, and, they can't do much. They can do something. If Iran's air defenses are down, yeah, they can fly in and drop bombs, no problem, But they're, also more likely not to do much. But hitting Israel means they're going to get attacks that are going to be really ugly, and Israel will be glad to go attack Iran every day, 2 times, 3 times a day for a month. They won't mind that at all. You've got billions and trillions of dollars going down the tubes. What could Israel do? Well, if it wants to hit the refineries, it can. If it wants to just hit the ports and the piers where they load the ships up with the oil, they can do it. They just blow the piers up. Now, how long does it take to replace? Well, it depends on the quality of the pier. I would say months, not weeks. It's not an easy job, especially if you got debris to get out of the way, We could also hit their infrastructure, their military airports, civilian airports, which they'll use as military airports, electricity, pipelines for natural gas and oil. I mean, whatever we want to hit, So they're not too fond of having Israel come in and start bombing them. Netanyahu's not a baby like Trump. Netanyahu is aggressive. So they might say they're just going to bring more doom and gloom down on their heads if they start up with Israel, and Trump's not going to stop just because they attacked Israel. Don't believe that. Okay, so what do they get out of it? Nothing. They just buy more trouble. Do you understand that? You need to. So Trump telling Israel to start the war means that Iran's going to be attacking us as well as the military bases in the Middle East. okay, and the American assets around there. We still don't know how Russia and China are going to respond to this. They still have warships in the region working with Iran. And I don't know how that's going to play out. It could get very catastrophic. It really can. You knock out a couple of warships of China or Russia, they're going to send dozens more, plus air. It's going to get ugly. Now, this is very interesting. The 160th, 160, and the 120th, 120 Airborne Special Operations Regiment. So this is airborne. Airborne. Okay. Airborne are not exactly special forces. They're rough and tumble soldiers, tough guys, well trained. But they're designed, to jump out of the sky, death from above, they like to call it, right? They're on their way to the area with elite units. They're on the way to Israel, to the Middle East, I should say, with elite units like what? Navy SEALs, Delta, Recon Marines, all kinds of special forces, Rangers maybe, they're still actually a special forces unit. These guys and gals, I guess, probably just guys, specialize in transporting special forces behind enemy lines using helicopters. Wow. These guys are, I don't know, either they're nuts, they got a death wish, or they're highly trained. This is like, this is, to me, this sounds like the equivalent of getting a job up in Alaska in the winter, taking the rectal temperature of sleeping grizzly bears when they hibernate. I think that this is about equal to that. Imagine going in the cave with the grizzly bear while he's hibernating and tiptoeing in, and then taking the guy's temperature rectally while he's sleeping, and then tiptoeing out of there. And what if he wakes up? What are you going to do? Give him a dozen Big Macs? I mean, what are you going to do? He's going to be mad. He's hibernating. He's not taking a nap. And you came into his house, and there might be cubs in the house. It might be a mama bear. Oh, this is, people do this? How does the bear manage to not drink liquids all this time? I don't know. I mean, I guess they're built for it. Okay, I'm not God. I didn't build these animals. He did, and he knows what he's doing. I don't. He knew how to build them. I can't even understand them. All right. So what they're going to do, these special units, what do they specialize in? Here we go. You never would have guessed this. Assassinations. Oh, golly gee. What a surprise. And what else? Destruction of challenging targets. So these guys, this is tailor-made to going in and finding Ayatollah Shmukmani's bunker and loading it up with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of explosives to blow the thing up, topple it down on him, basically kill him and destroy the bunker and the other people in the bunker or bunkers, and get a lot of other people too. Now, before they come in, you're going to have a lot of airstrikes to create all kinds of turmoil on the ground. and air defenses have to be severely crippled. Helicopters are not that resilient to ground-to-air attacks. Not like a stealth jet, nothing like it at all. They're slow movers. They don't have the altitude. I mean, what is maybe a really, really fast attack helicopter goes 250 miles an hour or something like that, 300 maybe. Probably not. Probably not. It'd probably go around 150 to 200. Uh, that's definitely fast enough to stay away from rifle fire and stuff like that. But with ground to air missiles, it would not be that hard to take them out. Now, admittedly, they're going to have electronic warfare systems in the helicopters, which are probably going to be state of the art, but still, swarm attacks and stuff like that. And what does that mean? That means Trump's trying to get Khomeini and the others, not just Khomeini. Remember that. Getting Khomeini by himself is nice for propaganda value. But if you want to topple the whole place and make them cave in and go bonkers while they're being attacked, you got to do what Israel does. You get the leader of the road building unit, the general in charge of food, the general in charge of medical, the general in charge of intelligence, communications, supply. You get all the top dogs, and then the whole thing starts to fall apart. You don't just work on Khomeini like we were working on the spiritual leader of the Hezbollah. We did get him, but I don't know how many special forces Trump's got. I suspect about 10,000 in the area. You got SEALs. You got your Air Force has special forces units, but they usually do pilot rescue. You better believe they're going to be in theater. They're probably already there in case the pilot goes down. These guys are paramedics combined with combat. Like these guys fight like, not like a Navy SEAL, more like a recon Marine maybe, or, these guys go in to find the pilot, and they're loaded to get attacked by the enemy soldiers in the country the pilot bailed out in. They go in with crazy vehicles. They parachute down with these vehicles that you drive around in the desert that go very fast, and they mount 50 caliber machine guns on them. They mount mortars on them. They mount who knows what else. They might have missile launchers on them. And they got a place where they could put the pilot on a stretcher and, tie him into the vehicle. And usually there's maybe one guy driving the vehicle, the pilot, and one other, or there might be two others or whatever, and they'll have maybe more than one of these vehicles, depending on how many pilots they're looking for and this and that. So they might have two. And you're talking these things are probably going 60 miles an hour in the desert, jumping over the wadis and stuff like that. And they're not armored. They're basically open, and I don't even know if they bring these units back with them. They probably, if they can, they will. But it depends how the exfiltration is going to go down. It's hard to figure out how that'll happen. It's probably the piece of equipment is probably just thrown away. It's probably worth $50,000 or something. It's not that expensive. They probably just blow it up or something. I don't know. There might be situations where they could just drive out. If they're near a border, they could just drive across the line, save the equipment. But the pilot is way more valuable than the equipment. A pilot that's flying these stealth jets, or a sophisticated F-15 he's probably got 6 or 8 years in the military. They probably got way over $1 million in this guy, and they want to save him. They're definitely in theater, no doubt about it. A lot of them. You'll have SEALs there. They'll do rescues on their own guys if it's um, anywhere. I mean, the Navy pilots, they'll go get them too. SEALs will do that any day of the week. Uh, you'll have your Rangers there. You'll have the Recon Marines. There's other kinds of Marines they'll put in there. Raiders, they call them Marine Raiders. You'll have Green Berets. I mean, you'll have all sorts of stuff running around over there. These people are very, very, very well trained combat people. They're at the top tier. They do the best in all the exercises and tests, and they are physically exceptionally fit. And they get experience. They're killers. And they're going to be involved in getting Ayatollah and stuff. Well, that means Iran got a real problem. These guys are very good, and they have immense budgets. The amount of high-tech goods they can have at their disposal is huge. Huge. They know what they're doing. So we're back to overthrowing the regime. We never left. And that's a reasonably sound plan. But we know the Bible prophecies in Jeremiah 49 for Elam. The country will get destroyed so bad, all the people have to leave and go scatter into every single nation in the world. And I believe it applies to Iraq too, which is part of Elam and maybe even a small piece of Syria or something, but not all of Syria, I don't think. So the obvious scenario is they attack the American bases in the different countries, and these different countries join in. And then if they're joining in and Trump asks for NATO help and stuff, he's probably going to get it. So they'll join in too, and each of these countries will contribute a little. And when you add it all up, you're going to have a heavy duty doom and gloom on Iran. This is a quoted statement that came out of Witkoff in an address to the Iranians ahead of tomorrow. That's today's agreement, so to speak. Yeah, what agreement? Meeting. Witkoff goes, "You have to behave for the rest of your lives." He's telling the Iranians, these Muslim maniacs, terrorists, to not, basically don't make treaties and then break them, which is what they always do. Who does this guy think he's talking to? He doesn't know his enemy. When you go into a war, you would be very smart to know what you're about. I don't know if Trump knows what Trump's about. In other words, you got to know that you're capable of going in there and swinging the sword and knocking heads off. If you're not, then you better not go into the war. You better find another way to deal with your problems. Trump is trying to find another way to deal with his problems, which is to threaten a war and not actually do a war. But right now, I think he's decided he's going to do a war. But then he comes up with stupid statements like he wants to see Israel attack first. Well, you see, he knows Iran's afraid of Israel because Israel's a go-getter, but he's not. So he's still trying to scare Iran. You see what he's doing? He's hoping Iran will stop before America gets into the fight. So I would think it has to be there's a fear of sleeper agents and or a fear of Iranian disguised boats with drones and missiles attacking American vessels, America homeland. I mean, they can start attacking American cargo vessels or cruise ships or fishing boats. Who knows what? These are savage people. Look what they do to their own people. They've killed, I'm sure, over 100,000 since early January. And that's who Trump's messing with. Does he really know what he's doing? I don't think so. I want to read you something that I picked up from an ultra-Orthodox guy who posts on social media. Now, this is really interesting, and it was this morning or yesterday he posted it. God willing, the salvation of the Lord will come in the blink of an eye. May the Creator confuse you as he has confused you until now. I think he's talking about the enemies of Israel with the confusing. That's what I suspect he's doing. I don't know exactly what he means, but they're aware of the salvation coming in the blink of an eye. You see? So the real words with the Israelites is so close yet so far. And they don't seem to know the right from their left, the right hand from the left hand. Thought you'd find that interesting. Okay, and that's really what's going to happen when Yeshua appears, and it's going to jolt them because they're not expecting Yeshua, because they downgrade Yeshua and they sound them down and they insult them all the time. 6 American cargo planes departed this evening from the air base in Germany, probably Ramstein, whatever, from the air base in Germany towards the Middle East, bringing the number of cargo flights by the U.S. Army to the Middle East since mid-January to over 300. And that's, we've never seen America do stuff like that. Now, the theories that people say America can only sustain an attack for 5 days or a week, that might not be so true. It might be they could only sustain an attack for every day heavy for 2 or 3 weeks, which is quite a heavy attack. There is a point where you run out of ammo. Nobody has unlimited ammo. Al Jazeera, the terrorist-oriented publication, is saying, no, it's a different one. It's Al Jadid. It's a different Muslim publication. Reports that the Lebanese army has established about 25 new points in order to observe IDF forces and to prevent Israeli forces from carrying out ground operations in Lebanese territory. See, this business of the Lebanese army saying they were going to get rid of Hezbollah, of course, never happened, like I told you. And I told you it would always be, we need more time and time extensions, which is what's been going on. It's all a farce. And they're never going to do anything about it. And the way they're going to probably stop the Israelis is when they see a penetration, they'll tell Hezbollah where the Israeli soldiers are. They're no stinking good. And what's the prophecy? Lebanon, open your doors, let the cedars of Lebanon burn. Watch. How did Netanyahu possibly do some very treacherous, bad things to Israel? Well, years ago, Netanyahu gave India some weapons to test, and India had a contract, and they got some weapons to test it, and they had a contract to buy more, and then they canceled the contract. What do I think happened? They copied the technology. Why would Netanyahu do that? Number one, he is a stupid individual. That could be it. Number two, Netanyahu did it because he was getting something on the side for himself for selling out Israel with his cohorts. Do I know that to be the case? No. Could it be the case? Yes, it's possible. Does it have to be the case? No. He just could have got hoodwinked by Modi. Does this moron Netanyahu learn? No, you can't teach people like that. He can't teach himself. He's demented, okay? He doesn't know who he is, what he is. You know what I mean. Dresses one way, not the way he should. He's offered India full technology transfer of the Iron Dome and the Iron Beam. Nobody has an Iron. I mean, this is absurd. Not a sale, a transfer, joint production, domestic manufacturing, integration into Israel, into India's multi-layered air defense grid, 8.6 billion in defense agreements. That's not that much. It's much, but not that much. Expected to be formalized before Modi's plane leaves Israel airspace, which is sometime today. I don't know, the afternoon, the evening, I don't know. So he's basically saying, hey, you guys go make the Iron Beam and the Iron Dome. And I think he says, keep them yourself. And I don't know, there's probably some sort of payment coming to Israel, we would hope. Although Netanyahu is so treacherous, he may have even just given it to him for free. I don't know the details, but who the heck does he think he is? The king? He's a piece of garbage, this thing. He's a curse on Israel. Why would he do something like that with a country like India that steals ideas and from people all the time? Why, you know how impossible it is to do business with that country? They're terrible to do business with. I know many, many business people that won't even talk to the people from India. They're so impossible to deal with. Remember the Buffalo nickel, right? They'll squeeze a nickel so hard the buffalo will pee. You can't talk to them. You can't make. I've tried. It's ridiculous. You can't have anything to do with them in business. You just can't make anything with them. They don't want you to get anything, and that's what this deal looks like. Did they make a mutual defense deal with Israel? No, it's nothing to do with a mutual defense deal. No. No, they just made some sort of, like manufacturing and trade deals. I'm sure that we're going to see Modi stab us in the back on this, because that's how Modi rolls, and not deal fairly to Israel. And Netanyahu is going to just shrug his shoulders. That piece of garbage. He's just going to shrug his shoulders, and it could have been done on purpose, intentionally, for personal gain. Do I know that to be the fact? I do not. Can anybody present facts to convince us that that is not the case? I don't see how they could. I'd be interested in seeing if they could. What are you going to do? Listen to what he says? You don't know what he did. I mean, where does he come off doing things like this? You know, why didn't people let him get away with things like this? Why don't they just do a vote of no confidence and flush him down the toilet once and for all? The country will be so much better off without this idiot. He's an idiot. Trump tells him, "Oh, go attack Iran," and then last June he does it. And then what happens for our polite obedience? We got damage claims just in the private sector of $53 billion. That's not counting what government property was destroyed. Great move, Benji. It's terrible. Terrible what we got to live with this guy. The people in the South that got massacred, that was because of his gun control. See, he's trying to manipulate the media, and I think he does. I think he manipulates all the media. I haven't seen one piece of media get out there and say the reason for this massacre is because Netanyahu took the guns away from the people. That is 100% the case. If the people had their assault rifles, okay, even if they had the old 30 caliber carbines, it wouldn't matter, okay? Or they had the old Uzis, or they had the Galilee rifles or M16s. It doesn't matter. If they had pistols, the Arabs would come in, and what would happen when they'd go to the houses? The guy would crack a window or a door or get up on the roof and boom, 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 drop a few of them. And what do you think they would do? Play, bonsai Japanese World War II and keep charging, even though you all got mowed down? No, they'd run away. They'd go back into Gaza. What about if they went to the music festival, which probably would normally not have guns? And even if guns were abundant there would have been some security people with guns that could have deterred it. Nope. Did he want the people without guns so they could be set up? I don't know. That's how I personally look at the guy and think about him. I like to think of myself as not naive. And that's what we see with this piece of garbage, this living, breathing piece of trash. And I haven't seen any media say this moron going to get more people killed one day by Syria, by Jordan, by Lebanon, or by Gaza. They should take all the surplus rifles from Israel that we have stored and give them to every Jew. You go down there, you're Jewish, you get a rifle. Terrible person. The people in Israel, I don't understand that. I mean, why didn't they understand Netanyahu's complicity? Well, they're trying to do a independent investigation of Netanyahu dropping the guard, but I don't hear anybody talk about this lunacy with gun control and how that has to go out the window. And Israel has to arm itself like the Arab states do. I don't see any reason why they don't do that. Terrible thing. You don't need that many more guns in Israel. I think if you had another 250,000 people carrying guns, that would be enough. Could they have defended their houses with simple 9mm Glock pistols? Sure. Sure you could. Anything, you start spraying lead at these people, maybe some of them had vests on and stuff like that, but they're not going to approach. For most people, the pistol peters out at about 50 feet. Some people can take it out 75 feet or 100 feet, but that's about it. A very skilled shooter can shoot the pistol effectively at 100 yards, which is 300 something feet. It's not that easy and it's not that hard, and you got to practice it a lot. But you don't have to if you're just going to work out 75 feet. You're going to keep people away from your home. They're not going to come in and torture you and rape you in front of your children like they did. You just keep laying bullets down in front of them. That's it. They're not going to come. They won't come. They'll come and then they'll go back. It never would have happened. They never would have tried it because a lot of them, probably 30 to 50% of them, would have wound up catching a bullet. And nobody talks like me on the media what this bum did. What are they going to do? They're going to leave Israel open for more such attacks so they could prevent maybe 2 or 3 people that own guns from having a domestic dispute and using the gun. What kind of out of balance moron would think that way? Thousands of people got hurt. There's no hope for Israel as long as you have Netanyahu or a leader like him. That's why the whole government is going to be gone. 2/3 get cut off. And the 2 witnesses will run the place. That's the only way you're going to get it to work. These people, you're never going to get anything to work with them. They don't think right. They think that everybody is a stupid moron and you can pull the wool over everybody's eyes all the time. And that's how they run their life. It's sad. It really is. It really is sad. And the people don't wake up. I don't understand it. How can they not see their media is not right? How could they not see it? What I'm telling you about gun control, in America, you'd find probably 5 or 10 million people that would agree with me. Crazy. You need the American Jews over here. That'll straighten the place out. I'll be right back. So I look at this and then I ask myself, what's going on with Trump saying he wants Israel to attack first? So Israel attacks first. We pound Iran, Iran pounds us, just like the last time, and then Trump does some token attack and then runs away, leaving Israel with another $50 or $100 of damage. To break our economy, more Jews leave Israel, no Jews come here. Tourism eventually falls apart again. I don't think Netanyahu gives a flying hoot about the drop in tourism. I don't think he cares at all. Tourism is not something a Satan bot likes because it helps the poor people can benefit from it. They get an Airbnb. They could open up a little restaurant or a snack store or something like that. Or they drive taxis or they get a bus or something, you know. He doesn't like that. What he wants is all the poor people, the non-Satan bots, to work hand to mouth for the Satan bots. And every one of them will do the same thing. You can't have Satan bots. So the only way you're going to get out of that is to let God get rid of them. That's it. They'll never straighten out. God's got to get rid of them, and that's it. Our strength is not the iron beam, it's God. I understand that, but I just so distrust Netanyahu. I think he's just full of treachery. I don't think he went and got the permission of the Knesset or anything like that. I think he operates like he's a Caesar. Why is Israel handing over their most advanced weapons systems to India with a bad track record of stealing technology? I don't know. One reason is that India didn't want to buy the weapons from Israel because then they would be dependent on Israel, so they wanted to self-produce it. You know, that's a decent argument, but it doesn't answer the question of why Israel would give in on that. Nobody else would. Modi did address the Knesset. I don't know. Modi comes over here and acts like he's a great friend. We've seen him do this before, and then he just gets treacherous economically with us. So we'll have a friend at the UN, I guess, with Modi. All Modi cares about is India. He's got to keep the money rolling into India. He's got a massive poverty situation, and he has, that means he has a pass. He has a massive threat for overthrow of the government. Okay, remember they overthrew the British. They could overthrow Modi. Let me see if we've got any questions in the chat or prayer requests, as I do take that seriously. Okay, let me go through it. Yes, I'm a cone. Someone asked me, yes. The F-16 Wild Weevils have special electronics to block radars. Yeah, they do. They got other planes that do it also. Do I read the chat? Yep. In the States, you have primary doctors you go to first, and that's how they do it in the Israel healthcare system. There's a few, I think, that you don't need to get referred to, like ophthalmologist, and I think maybe dermatologist. There's a few you don't have to. The rest you need to get a referral, like an orthopedic surgeon or internal medicine or a heart doctor or a liver or something. Yeah, the next 6 F-22s are from England. Australia, okay. The Iron Dome is a anti-missile takedown system, and the Iron Beam is the same thing but uses lasers. Someone says, hi, Capo. A Capo was a guy in the concentration camp that was working for the Nazis and beating the Jews up to keep them in compliance. That's what I was just called. I don't think that has applicability. I don't know how I became so what you call knowledgeable. I'm old too, so I've had a lot of time. Okay, let me see if I got any more. I had to refresh it. Uh, okay, I don't think we have any more questions or prayer requests. Um, what I want to do now is go through Rev.6 with you. We've done this before, but it should be informative. Do I think it has a very high degree of relevance to what we're facing today? No, not really. But let's go through it. There might be something we see there, but let's deal with it. Revelation 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder and of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Well, we see Yeshua has many crowns, right? And we never read of Yeshua given a bow. He has a sword, so this is some conquistador type thing going on here. And then we go to verse 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon on the horse, to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So when did we have peace on the earth? I don't know. I don't know when that was. Yeah, World War One, and you had the other wars. You had World War Two. You had Korea. You had Vietnam. You had two Iraq wars. You had Afghanistan wars. Come on. It wasn't real peace on the earth in our days. And when he had opened, I mean, you could say in the recent years, Satan is trying to keep things peaceful because he's scared. I don't know. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." The oil and the wine point to the believers. Now, we're likely headed to this because it means you work all day to get enough grain to eat. So you work just to eat. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell, or Gehenna, followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. Now, this is really hard to place because we know we're going to see Jeremiah 30, verse 11, where he destroys all the nations that he scattered the Israelites into. It's also found in Jeremiah 46, verse 28. But here we see it restricted to 1/4 of the earth, so it's kind of difficult. Verse 9, and when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar all the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. Persecution. Probably the beast running around Ezekiel 38, 39 era, tribulation, which is not where we're headed right now. And we're headed to Zechariah 12 right now. They cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little measure, a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened. You see, when you die for the Lord, for the faith, that's the ultimate test. And you wind up right in heaven. And after that, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Now, that is the day that Yeshua is going to appear in the clouds. That's how I understand it. That's how I teach it. That's the beginning of the second 70 of Daniel 9:24. Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38:39, is the culmination of the second 70. So Revelation ends, this Rev.6 ends when Yeshua returns. When Yeshua appears in the clouds. He goes on. Well, this verse ends, Revelation 6:12. It goes further. Verse 13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So when the stars don't give their light and fall is not when the sun goes dark and the moon turns to blood. It's when the sun goes dark and the moon goes dark. This happens, and that's found if you read in the book of Joel, chapter 2, you'll see both scenarios presented there. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their place, and the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. This is when Yeshua appears. Okay? Because you see, the one that sitteth on the throne is Father God Jehovah, and the Lamb is Yeshua. Okay? When Yeshua returns to earth, you could read about it in Revelation 19. Jehovah doesn't come. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Who shall be able to stand? Let's put this together for you. Malachi 3:1. Behold, I will send my messenger, the word for that is Malach, like Malachi, and he shall prepare the way before me, that's Elijah. And Adonai, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. That's the glory of God of Israel, Michael. Michael is actually Michael. That's the Hebrew Michael. And they have a name in Israel, Michaela, which is like a female version of Michael. That's people name their children that, you know. even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, saith Jehovah of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? There it is. But who shall abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like a fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purify them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Jehovah in righteousness. Okay, and where else do we see this? We see it in Zechariah 13, verses 8 and 9. And shall come to pass that in all the land called Haaretz, the land of Israel, saith Jehovah, 2 parts therein shall be cut off. That's 2/3. And die. Cut off and die means dead. But the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. Okay, now refresh back into Rev.6. The last verse, Rev.6:17. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? See? When you have somebody that really wants to teach you the true scriptures, it comes together. Okay? So this Rev.6 is covers a large piece of time, I think. Maybe not, but it's very difficult to sit there and say, oh, this is where it started. We don't know. God will tell us one day, I suppose, but we don't have that now. I certainly don't. I'll be right back. anybody in here? Guys, are you in here? Come on home. Come on home. Come on in, Mommy. Let me see if Beulah's here. So your end times, you got to remember, is not going to be based on what happens in South America or Asia, Europe. It's going to come based on what happens in Israel. Okay? And it looks like the nations, Trump included, are cooking up some really bad stuff for Israel. And I can't say I trust Netanyahu, because I don't. When the time comes, which is very short, he's going to unleash Elijah and Enoch, and that'll be the end of this government and its wickedness. They don't teach that, unfortunately. They don't teach you Zechariah 12, where all the nations surround Israel in a siege. It's just about in place now. Can a Jew from Israel go up into Lebanon? No. Can you go to Gaza? No. Can you go to Egypt? Yeah, but I don't suggest it. Can you go to Jordan? Yeah. Can you go to Saudi Arabia? No. Can you go to Syria? No. Can you go to Iraq? No. Can you go to Iran? No. Can you go to Turkey? Yeah, but I wouldn't suggest it. There's a lot of Israelis that could speak Arabic that run around to these different countries. I think that they should never do that, but they do it. A lot of them go to the UAE on vacations because it's attractive if you've got money. If you don't have money, you're not going there. You're going to go to the beach in Israel. But if they got money, they'll go there because there's a number of amusement parks. None of them are really like Disney World. Maybe there's some like Disneyland in California, but not a Disney World. There's a Warner Brothers studio theme park in the UAE, but it's on the smaller side. It might be the size of one of the parks in Disney World in Florida. I don't know. They say Japan is the nicest and the best of all the Disneys around the world. But when you go on the rides, some of the rides, they talk to you before you go in, and during the ride, they talk to you in Japanese. So how much fun is that going to be, right? You're not going to know what's going on unless you speak Japanese. you're not going to know what's going on. To me, it's not that advantageous. I don't care for it. I think there's one in Hong Kong, or there's another one in the Middle East someplace, not just China, not just Japan. There's nothing in South America or Central America or the Caribbean or Canada. It's just the Los Angeles and Florida. And then they have it in France, in Paris, which is, I don't know how good it is. I never went to any. I only ones I ever went to were in California and Florida, and I wouldn't go there anymore. I know too much. When I went, I didn't know that much. They're too demonic. Harry Potter world. I mean, over time they got worse. They were demonic at onset, but they got worse. They were doing. Did they do Peter Pan? No, they used to have a thing you could have breakfast in that castle at Main Street in Disney World. And they had a Peter Pan character and a Wendy character there while you had a bunch of pancakes for $30. Disney was just a scam. There was never, it was always hurry up and wait online. That was the whole problem with Disney. Wait online, wait online. Now their park attendance is way the heck down, and there is not much wait online anymore. Universal Studios, which is Universal Studios, their themes are not, Mickey Mouse and stuff. Their themes are like the Hulk and there's one that goes fast, Flash, I think. Hulk, Flash, stuff like that. I think they have two parks. They're big parks. They're very pretty. They're very clean. Priced about like Disney. And if you stayed in their hotels, you were able to not wait online. You got a pass. You didn't have to wait online. So I used to stay in their hotel. They had an expensive hotel. It was Italian themed, Portofino, after a port in Italy called Portofino. And I would stay there. Back then, it was about 300 a night. Now I think it's about 900 or something. I don't know. Something like that. And you didn't have to wait on the line. Then and that worked in the beginning. That was when Universal was new. Then what did you get? They built a second hotel called Hard Rock Hotel. The big thing there, they had a swimming pool. You can go in the swimming pool and you would hear music playing under the water. If that gets you real excited, go ahead. And it was originally just the Portofino Hotel, which was expensive, where you got the no wait online. Then they expanded it to this other hotel. And then it got so bad that you would go to where you didn't have to wait online. You were waiting online with other people who didn't have to wait online. But it wasn't that bad. It was maybe 8 or 10 minute wait, where the other people were waiting 45 minutes, But when it was in the first layer, where it was just that one expensive hotel, you didn't wait online anywhere. I remember I went on, oh, it was Spider-Man, not Flash, Spider-Man. I went on the Spider-Man ride, which I thought was a really nice, fun ride, by the way. I got on that, and then I went off the ride, and I walked back in, and I went right through the queue, and I got back on the ride again and did it a second time. I liked it so much. So yeah, that was, that was fun. Uh, you could do that. So they got away. But anyway, the UAE has Ferrari World, Water Brothers, which is all indoors. I understand they have a theme park indoors. Why? Because it'll hit 120 in the afternoon in the summer up there. What are you going to do at 120? Nobody's going to walk around outside. So it's basically all inside, I understand, and it's air conditioned. So that's kind of a weird kind of place. Then they got another one. I don't know where it is. I think it's in Kuwait. I've never been there. Uh, Kuwait or Saudi? No, not Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's the UAE. I think it's the UAE. They built a ski lift with a mountain indoors, associated with a mall. So you go in and you rent a jacket, a ski jacket. You get ski boots that you rent. You get skis, and you get a ski lift ticket, and you go in there. You get on the lift. It pulls you up to a man-made mountain. I don't know how high it is or something like that. I imagine it's probably 1,200, 1,500 feet or something like that. Probably not that high. Let's see. Something like that. And you get off and then you ski down and then you go back and you get up. I doubt it's anything but maybe a beginners or at most a medium level slope. Uh, and it's cold in there because they do have snow. And you're going to drop, I guess, today you'd probably drop $400 or $500 for an afternoon, maybe more, maybe 800, 900, and you go skiing in the middle of the desert. Um, they got a lot of amusements there. I can't remember all of them. There's tons of them, water parks galore. So the Israelis go there with their kids, and they go into all the different amusement parks, and then they could get duty-free shopping. The best duty-free shopping in the Middle East is the UAE. And you could go duty-free shopping. And what else? So they go there, I don't know, 2-hour flight, maybe something like that. And they stay in the hotels, and they have problems with the Israelis. I don't know if they overcame those. They would stay. Believe it or not, you could find hotel rooms there rather inexpensively, like under $100. Like well, maybe today it's probably 80 or 100, something like that. And they're not great hotel rooms, and the hotel may or may not have a pool. You're basically staying in something on the order of a Holiday Inn, where there might be a pool and a few chairs by the pool or something like that. It's not a luxury hotel or anything like that. Maybe they have a restaurant. And the people would go to the supermarkets in the UAE, the Israelis, and they would buy, you know, something cooking to cook with, an electric skillet or some kind of hot plate, and they would plug it in the room and buy groceries in the supermarket and cook them in the room. And there was rules about that. I think the fire department there didn't want anybody cooking in the rooms, and they were doing it. And the hotel owners were having a war with the Israelis because they didn't want to go to the restaurants because the restaurants were rather expensive. But on the other hand, they certainly could have bought a cheap microwave, right? and went to the buy frozen food and put it in the microwave and nuke it, right? Sure, they could have. The other thing they could have done is just not had hot food. They just eat sandwiches, cereal and milk, fruits, some vegetables, right? Breads, and you know, you could do that. You didn't have to violate the law. That infuriated the UAE. And it was pretty widespread because people weren't going there and going to the big high-rise hotels with fantastic swimming pool areas and recreation and restaurants, and spending $700, $900, $1,200 a day on a room. I imagine some Israelis do that, but probably 80-90% of them didn't want that. They just wanted a room to sleep in, and they stayed out all day, and the only time they went back to the room was to go to sleep. That's how the Israelis will do it. So we have a friend who went to Thailand recently for a visit, vacation, be back in near future, and they keep going there. I don't know what they see in it, but it does have good food, especially if you want to eat vegetarian and you like spicy and hot. Thai food rocks. Um, Even if you're not a vegetarian, Thai food can be good. Uh, I personally like Vietnamese food a lot, but a lot of tourists don't really go to Vietnam. I don't know, they don't like it for some reason. Thailand seems to be the big deal. They get hotels that are either on the beach, so they go downstairs in the elevator, they get off at the lobby or below the lobby, and they walk out and they go to the beach and they get a chair or a lounger and they stay out there. Or they get a cheaper hotel and they're 2-3 blocks from the beach and they walk to the beach and maybe carry a little light aluminum chair with them or just lay in the sand or whatever they're going to do, or rent something when they're at the beach. The beaches look nice over there. They don't look exceptionally fantastic. Okay, so the UAE is a lot of artificial stuff, artificial islands. They artificial island and they build 100-story hotel on it. They build a 60 or 80-story apartment building on it. They got hotels where the first 20 floors are hotel and the rest are condos. They got all kinds of stuff there. They got malls with fantastic restaurants. You're going to get Michelin star restaurants and stuff like that. And it all works if your household income is about $750,000 a year or more. You can go to the UAE and have a really nice time without worrying about what you're spending. You go over there on first class, you get yourself a nice hotel for $900, $1,200 a night. You get yourself a driver to take you around so you don't have to worry about finding these places. So you rent a town car or a limo and have the guy wait for you. And, stuff like that. It just depends what, your budget is. So I'm sitting here, and yesterday the aircraft were flying. That's our aircraft. They were protecting us. So there was a risk. Yesterday, it was pretty ongoing. They must have felt there was a risk of us being attacked, or they wouldn't have flown the planes over us so much. So it's not something we're looking forward to. We don't know what's going to be damaged, and it's going to be up to us to do the rebuilding, right? Now, it may not even happen because Iran may be afraid to attack us if America attacks them first. But Trump is saying he wants Israel to attack first. So he wants Iran fighting Israel and him at the same time. I don't trust Trump any more than I trust Netanyahu. Will somebody attack the oil refineries in Iran? Not initially, because what their plan is not God's plan. Their plan is to overthrow the regime and then build the country up as an ally of America and Israel. It won't happen. It'll get destroyed, as will Iraq and Yemen. Is it possible it doesn't happen this go round? It happens a month or two later? Yeah. So we're not happy here in Israel. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And usually a lot of people leave Israel when this happens, but you got to leave Israel and stay out of Israel for months, Tourism is way down again and never really came up since COVID. So I asked you guys to pray about me moving forward with my public and private welfare endeavors that I'm pursuing. And yeah, things went forward pretty good again. So things are moving on that area very well, I might add. So please keep praying that my success in the private and the public sector, well, there's the government and then there's something that's not the government that I'm using, that it moves forward successfully and quickly and easily, and that I can get all the things that I'm going after, which I think are quite realistic. And I appreciate that kind of a prayer. If you would, thank you. All right, I'll pray for us. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, I pray for me and my wife and all the true believers and our families and households. I pray that we would have your strength, stamina, and endurance, and we would have your healing and recuperative power flowing through us all the time, healing what needs to be healed. And I pray for us and our animals and pets that we would be safe and secure and happy, healthy, and whole. I pray our sleep would be good. Our sleep would be sweet, and we'd wake up at a good hour. I pray that we have adequate finances and then some extra. I pray for those of us that are looking for work and need work that we find it. And for those of us that are in business or looking to be in business, that we get an adequate amount of customers and clients. And I pray for for all of us, we have no accidents, no tickets, no breakdowns, no getting stopped, stuck, or stranded with any cars or vehicles. and we don't get discriminated against for the faith or being believers. We don't get picked on for the same reason. And I pray we don't get attacked or robbed or scammed or frauded or ripped off or embezzled or defrauded. And I pray that we would understand the scriptures better. And I pray that I could make better videos. And I pray that I pray for the peace of Yerushalayim, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And you can agree with that. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach means in the name of Yeshua the Messiah. Ba in Shem the. So Shem is name, Ba is in, rather. Shem is name. So B'Shem in name, that's how Hebrew is, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, in the name of Yeshua the Messiah. Okay. So I'm going to do some spiritual warfare for us. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, my Heavenly Father, I loose from all of us any unclean spirits in any of us, and I loose from us any witchcraft, sorcery, curses, hexes, vexes, spells, enchantments, designed to target us or anything we own, possess, control, set a hand to, or our households. It's all cast off, and it's null and void, and shall never return again, ever. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay, and I also pray, my Heavenly Father, that none of us have any bad dreams or nightmares, that our sleep would be sweet and sound. We'd wake up at a good hour without noises or things to ruin our night's sleep. I pray that to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay. All right, so I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And Father God Jehovah, and I'm out. And not so bad, I didn't run over on the time. Okay, if the war lights up, remember I'm going to be doing a lot of live streams. Okay, in the meantime, we'll just stay with Telegram. Okay, if any of you want access to the Telegram, which is free, and the app is free, just send me an email. My email's in the description box at the bottom. I'm out.